So a new poll by ABC News and the Washington Post offers some troubling signals for Joe Biden and his potential presidential campaign against Donald Trump. This poll shows that Biden has a narrow lead over Donald Trump in a hypothetical November matchup, but it's within the margin of error, and that lead has shrunk since the last time this poll has been done. But what's crucial in this poll is the enthusiasm gap. People were asked, do you support Biden or do you support Trump? And if you support Biden, are you somewhat, not at all, or very enthusiastic? And the same things were asked about Trump supporters. And Trump supporters are more than twice as likely than Biden supporters to suggest they are very enthusiastic about voting for him. Now, you might say to yourself, what does enthusiasm mean that much? At the end of the day, every person gets one vote, whether you're hardcore excited to vote for somebody or whether you're just going to vote for them because they're the least worst choice, your vote counts the same. And that's true, but enthusiasm plays such a crucial role in campaigns because really enthusiastic people bring more than their own vote. They bring their vote, but they also bring their friends. The donations they make, the extra amount of money they give, gives you the resources to bring more people to the polls. They are the sorts of people that will bring out lawn signs, will knock on doors, will make phone calls, will do whatever they can, sharing posts on social media, talking to everyone they know about your vision. They will bring people to your cause. And so each person that engages with your movement enthusiastically is worth their weight in gold in a presidential campaign in general, but especially in crucial swing states where the tight results mean that every last little effort matters. Joe Biden's lack of enthusiasm is something that's been consistent across this entire primary, and it's something that I've been warning people about this whole time. Bernie Sanders right now is losing to Joe Biden. There's no denying that. But there's also no denying that the race isn't over, and there's no denying that Bernie Sanders generates a lot of enthusiasm in his own right. And the risk with Joe Biden is that when you get him to a general election, you won't have very many people excited for him. You might get some people that are voting for him because he's the least worst option. You might get some people that sort of like Joe but don't really love him or are not inspired by him. But only a quarter of people support Joe Biden very enthusiastically, whereas over half of Trump voters offer very enthusiastic support to him. And mark my words that this is going to matter in Michigan, in Florida, in Pennsylvania, in Wisconsin, and many other states as well, but those are the crucial swing states. And if you don't believe me, we can look back to 2016. Where at the end of the day, Hillary Clinton in many of the polling estimates on the overall numbers was projected to win, and she did win the popular vote, but her enthusiasm gap was weak. Only about a third of voters were enthusiastic about Hillary Clinton, according to polling done at the time. That's actually about 10 points better than Biden, and she still lost because in those crucial moments, when the chips were down, there weren't enough people out there so enthusiastic about Clinton to Pokemon go to the polls or to get other people to go to the polls for Clinton and for down ballot Democrats as well. And that's the reason she lost. She couldn't get people to go to the polls because there wasn't enough enthusiasm. That's the reason. Clinton lost overwhelmingly because of turnout, and her low turnout was overwhelmingly because of enthusiasm or lack thereof. The same thing will happen here, and the same thing has also happened in other elections. Very few Republicans, for instance, were enthusiastic about voting for John McCain or Mitt Romney. Sure, there were lots of Republicans that were, good, loyal party members, and they went to the polls and they did the things you're supposed to do as a bare minimum. But, Donald Trump even though maybe we don't get it as progressives, as people on the left part of the spectrum, really speaks to the passions of millions of Americans, tens of millions of Americans. And there's a reason why he won an election where everyone was counting him out. And one of the reasons, maybe not the only reason, was because he had a very, very enthusiastic base, whereas his opponent didn't. And the same factors are lining up to play the same role in November. So the Democrats should be extremely wary of nominating Joe Biden. This is a man that doesn't have a huge lead over Donald Trump nationally, and there's probably severe concerns about what that's going to mean in swing states, because the Democrats, once again, could very well run up the score in California, in New York, in Washington State, and on and on and on. But if they lose Michigan, and if they lose Pennsylvania, if they lose Wisconsin, then it was irrelevant anyway, and Joe Biden's not going to be the next president. And a lack of enthusiasm, lower enthusiasm than Hillary Clinton, puts him really puts him behind the eight ball. And he needs to find something to change that. Now, my view is that the solution is clear. Go with Bernie Sanders, the man whose plans, the man whose ideology, the man whose passion is what you need to drive enthusiasm, but it's also the sort of voice that's required in this time. And I think that it's evident that Biden and the mainstream Democrats are failing, because the longer that Biden has been seen as the unequivocal frontrunner, Donald Trump has gained on him in the polls. Again, Biden leads, but his lead is smaller than it was in the last time that ABC Washington Post did this poll. That means Biden's trending in the wrong direction. And there's no guarantee that within a month, Biden might be losing to Trump in national polls. I don't think that's outside of the realm of possibility, given that Biden, whenever he speaks, clearly showcases his cognitive decline, that Biden has often hid himself away for a week or more during one of the worst crises in modern American history. And given that, because of the Democrats' general failure to provide an alternative to Donald Trump's plan that the American people are inspired by, he's being seen as handling this crisis well, even though under any international objective terms, he's failed at handling the crisis. That's on the Democrats for allowing Trump to look good by comparison. At least the neoliberal, mainstream Democrats, of which Joe Biden is part of that camp. So if Biden wants to change this, and if Biden is going to be the nominee, he needs to find a way of inspiring people. And the way you inspire people is you give them something to vote for, not something to vote against. That's really how you inspire them. Maybe you give them both. You can say to people, one, this particular president is awful. He's dangerous. We got to get rid of him. I don't necessarily disagree with any of that. I think that's all very true. Donald Trump's abhorrent. But you also need to give folks something positive. And Joe Biden's vision isn't that. Many Joe Biden supporters, not just random people, but people who identify as Biden supporters online, when they're asked, give me a reason why you're voting for Biden, and you cannot use the word Donald or Trump. And they can't do it. They can't do it. Some can, but many cannot. That's troubling. Joe Biden saying he would veto Medicare for all. Joe Biden's, historic weakness among young people. All of that is a looming disaster. So if you're not going to nominate Bernie, and there's still time to do it, if you're going to go down the Joe Biden route, then at the very least, Biden needs to make a hardcore shift towards progressive values. He needs to basically embrace all of Bernie Sanders' policies. He needs to embrace Medicare for all, free education. He needs to embrace greater government planning and direction over the economy, especially necessities. He needs to embrace, as much as is possible, a democratic socialist vision that can go to the people that don't always vote, younger people, marginalized people, and say to them, I am offering you not only the chance to get rid of this awful president, but a better and more just and more dignified society. Now, I don't expect Joe Biden to do that, because Joe Biden ultimately believes that the American people do not deserve social and political and economic equality. Biden believes in inequality as a virtue. He doesn't want everyone to have quality healthcare, or at least have the same healthcare. He doesn't believe in that. But if Biden wants to win, he's going to have to change what he believes in, because what he's doing now isn't working. Can Biden win in November? Certainly. Anything is possible. But right now, if nothing changes, the Democrats are going to lose, and they're going to lose again by ignoring the strong progressive option in lieu of the quote-unquote safe choice that pleases no one.